Hello, and welcome back to the Reentry Room, where we say the quiet parts about working motherhood out loud. I'm Alexa Starks. I'm a leadership expert, a speaker, and founder of Executive Moms, and I'm a mom to two little toddlers. Through my workshops, my group programs, my coaching, I help women rebuild their leadership and identity after maternity leave. And I help companies create supportive work environments for moms and parent friendly cultures. And I help moms not burn out and disappear from their own story, which is what happened to myself and a lot of other moms. So, today we're going to talk about one of the hardest parts of the motherhood journey, which is the identity shift that happens when you become a mom and that version of you that no one really prepares you to meet. And I remember before I had kids, I used to think that identity was something that you built. It was your job, it was your promotions, it was achievements that you'd done. And I had never heard of the motherhood identity shift before I had kids. Even I probably didn't even hear about it until well into my second pregnancy. But I remember, when I had my son, that when I became a mom, I suddenly felt like I had lost my way. I wasn't sure where I fit in. I things that used to define me I wasn't really passionate about anymore, but I didn't really have a new thing either. I mean, I was very career driven. I would pride myself on being the hardest working person. I would be the one showing up first thing early in the morning, staying late as much as needed. And I mean, I remember I'd be working out at 6 in the morning and responding to people on the East Coast who were already in the office. Over overachiever. But once I had my kids, especially with my first, I wasn't that same woman who wanted to stay late chasing this ideal of perfection. But I also didn't know yet who I was, and I didn't know this new version of myself, and the motherhood vision Pinterest boards. Like, that wasn't me yet, and I don't know that I'm even a Pinterest board mom really anyways. But anyways, I was somewhere in between, right? I was very raw. I was in the process of being rewired and becoming. And if you felt that too, that weird in between of who you were and who you are now and who you're becoming, you're not broken. You're evolving. This is a massive evolution in who you are about to be. So, let's talk for a moment about why this shift in your identity feels so disorienting. Because it is very disorienting and it might take you a long time to come to this realization of, oh, I've developed a whole new identity. Because when you're in the middle of it, it doesn't, it's very hard to recognize. I just had this feeling of, I'm not the same person who I was, but I don't know who I am yet. I was very much still in that in between. And so this motherhood identity shift, it's psychological, it's emotional, it's physical, and you're not just adding mom to a list of titles. You're rewriting how you see yourself in every role with mom as part of it. Right? I'm no longer just an employee. I'm an employee and mom because my motherhood doesn't stop between 9 to 5. I'm always going to be a mom between 9 to 5. And so now I'm employee plus mom. And so there's this massive identity shift that happens even to your really solidified identities. If you're very corporate career driven like now I was employee plus mom. Now I was leader plus mom. And so for working moms, this identity shift hits really hard because the workplace doesn't really pause to let you catch up. I had 3 months off of maternity leave, and at 3 months back, I had no idea who I was still. I had no idea. Like, that identity shift didn't just happen in 3 months, but you're expected to go back to work and do what you were doing before you had the baby. But you're not just the person you were before you had the baby. You're now employee plus mom. So what's happening underneath is your priorities are changing faster than your environment does, right? And your values deepen, but the company metrics don't reflect them. So maybe your values, you're much more empathetic, more compassionate, more patient, or you have, like me, I had no patience for bullshit, for meetings that could be emails, um, for like someone not really doing their job well and leading a meeting. Like, I wanted to step in. Like, I had no patience for that. And so but the company metrics didn't reflect them. And so your values may change and deepen for some of them. And so there's a little difference between those. And your sense of self is split. That's huge to have your sense of self split so completely between who you were, especially at work, and who you're becoming now at home. And that line, there's no real clear separation of the two because, like I said, you're a mom 24/7, and now work just happens to try to fall back into that portion of the day. That's not an identity crisis. It's this massive identity expansion in who you are. So first we have to recognize that you are going through a massive expansion, not not necessarily just a change, but it's this huge evolution of who you are. And so the second thing I want you to take away is how we can move through this identity shift with intention. And I'll be honest, it's taken me I'm still going through it, right? My son is going to be 3 in January. I'm looking at a date to see like it's October. Oh geez. And my daughter's 1.5. So I had 2 kids under 2. I feel like I'm just now coming into my real new identity and these last few months, and especially since um we moved, and my business really growing and building up and getting clients and doing speaking opportunities and events and all these things. I'm really developing who I am now, and it's taken a long time. So I don't want you to think that, oh, 3 months postpartum or even 6 months postpartum, that this new motherhood identity is solidified, because it still probably is evolving a little bit. And that's totally normal. So first, I wanted you to name what's no longer you. What the old you did or was, or those parts of you that were. What is that? What about yourself is that no longer true about? Maybe you're letting go of perfectionism or over functioning or the need to control everything. Because let's be honest, it's very hard to control things with babies. And in the sense of perfectionism or over cleaning, wanting, I loved having a clean home. Now I have 2 toddlers. That's not a real thing, but try to think about what that old version of you was and valued, and what you don't need to carry with you into your new identity. Let it go. The second is reclaim what's still true. Maybe it's your strategic brain, your ambition to be powerful and build up a career and have an impact or make money for your family, or your creativity, the parts of you that motherhood didn't erase, but maybe amplified and really refined them. And now you're like, oh, I know what I want to do, and it's XYZ, right? So own that. Take some time to reflect on what that is about yourself. And then thirdly, define what's emerging. Who are you now? What does success look like in this season for you? Sometimes not every woman is more ambitious after kids, and they just want to continue doing what they're doing so that they can equally spend time at home and at work, and they're content where they are. Or maybe you do want to climb the corporate ladder and get more promotions and make a bigger impact. So figure out what it is that you want and redefine that. That's your power. That's going to be really powerful for you. And then let's just talk about for a moment the systemic piece, because I want to say that this isn't all on you. This identity shift is so hard, and it's not just personal, right? This isn't just personal to you, it's very systemic. First of all, every woman I know who had a kid has gone through this. But we ask women we don't ask them, but we expect them or assume that they will, but they reinvent themselves with this new motherhood identity. It happens naturally. And but we're still playing in the same systems that were not built to support moms and working moms especially, right? This worker here, mom there. Now you can't just separate mom from employee. You will always be mom. Worker just happens to follow in the little part of the day and overlap. And so the system of corporate world was not built to withhold, or not withhold, but was not built to sustain all of it. And so that's why I always say motherhood is not a setback in leadership like it so often is in bias and assumptions, but it's actually a masterclass in developing your leadership and who you are. You become more resilient and empathetic and strategic and efficient and productive, and you develop crisis management skills and conflict navigation and negotiation with toddlers. And workplaces need to recognize these motherhood skills that you're developing, these parenting skills, and recognize how valuable they are. So I always talk about how it's such a systemic issue that moms face extra bias and assumptions, and it's very not fair. But I want to just say that if you're going through an identity shift, it's okay that it's hard to go back to your job and be who you were before you had a baby, because that's not who you are now. You will be mom plus employee, and it's hard to try to fit back into your old job in an old system that was not built to support employee plus mom. So it can feel really like butting heads sometimes, and that's normal. And a lot of the women I coach and work with feel that split and feel that this is not gonna work, and how can I leave my job and start a business because I want to do what I'm passionate about, and it's no longer my job, right? It's no longer my career that I thought I had. Now it's something more meaningful about my kids or whatever. And so if you feel that coming to a head, employee and mom, your new mom identity, that's normal. So Anyways, if you're listening to this episode and maybe you're multitasking, working mom life, you're scrolling during a contact nap. I miss those contact naps, honestly. But I want you to know this: you're not behind. You're becoming this whole new version of you. And this is not about finding your way back to who you were, but redefining forward who you are and what that means now into the amazing, powerful person that you are today and evolving into even further. So, if you're ready to get some support in that process, if you're in your first year back from maternity leave and having a baby and you need help figuring out how you can be both a mom and a leader, that's exactly what I do in my coaching. I do one-on-one coaching and group programs. Click the link in the description. It's executivemoms.co/coaching. And you can check out about it and schedule a free 30-minute call with me to talk more about it. We'll talk about where you are in your journey, rebuilding your leadership, and what you're looking for exactly, and uh, customize a plan specifically for you. That's it. I'll see you in the next episode.